Hi, teacher.
Hello, Annalise. How are you? Is everything okay?
Hi, teacher. Yes. Thank you. And you?
That's great. Yeah, everything is fine, Annalise. So we're going to, practice. We're going to be with a conversation. But first of all, I'm going to be showing the scores you got for yesterday's presentation. All right?
Okay.
Great. Perfect. Give me a second. I'm going to get the information and I'm going to share the screen with you. Give me just 1 second, please.
Okay.
All right, so it's here already. I'm going to share this with you. Wait. Okay. Okay, there you go. So this is the scores you got. As you can see, in the as total you have a very high score. You have a 95. It means that there's been an improvement in terms of everything. I liked all the words that you were able to use, and it is related to your career, related to your field, right, of expertise, and related to all other things that you used, right, to explain and to make understand the topic that you were talking about. In terms of the structure of the presentation, you have those 5 points because I like that as well. You very well mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that you were going to talk about three different things, right? And you divided them very well. And also because you were participating, asking some questions and so on, so you got the highest score there also as extra points. But I think again, in general, was great. Okay, was great. Some things that you just keep to work, right? In terms of pronouncing some words, in terms of the stress of some words to make them even better. But once you get that, this is going to be even. You're going to be improving even more, analysis. But those are little details. As you can see, you have all 95, and that's really good score, I think. You can still improve. And in terms of this, I can tell you, in terms of stress, be careful of the words that you're going to be using, right? Remember, I think it was the plural of image, right? Image, then images, right? Was something related to that. And some other things, like, for example, in exposition, instead of that is better, in these terms of talking type lecture, it will be more like presentation or a presentation. And the second strategy is very related to the stress strategy part. But after that, if you work on those things, I think you're going to keep improving. I don't know if you have any questions about these scores over here, and if you want to ask me something.
Thank you, teacher. No, everything is okay.
That's great. Perfect, Anli. So keep working that way, please. This week, we're going to be learning a very specific structure that you're going to be applying for next Monday. Remember that next Monday? I'm sure, yes, it's going to be next Monday. Next Monday, again, we have a different presentation, and you're going to be using this time specific structure that I'm going to teach you in class. Okay? But it's very similar to what you did. It's having an introduction, right? Explaining something in the body or in the main part of the presentation, and in the last part, a conclusion, making a summary of everything and highlighting the most important parts. Okay? That's something we're going to apply. So that will be it in
Okay.
terms of the well, all the scores, all the information I wanted to convey. Now I'm going to be opening the article that we're going to be analyzing today. As you know, these scores, instead of reading, right, I'm going to read for you. You're going to listen to that. And what you're going to do, you're going to explain me everything that you are able to understand, right? Let me get to
Okay.
perfect. So last time I think we got one from the CNN. Now you know that we go and go up and down and we go forward and backward with CNN and BBC, and we're going to see how uh, you're going to be understanding this part. It's it's something related to you know that Trump has been a president, and perhaps something related to the perception that some people could have about him. All right. So this is the headline of the article, and it says U.S. historians on what Donald Trump's legacy will be. All right. U.S. historians on what Donald Trump's legacy will be. Now I'm going to read some of the details they have down below the picture before going to the very specific article. It says, at noon Wednesday, President Donald Trump's term will end. It's been a whirlwind 4 years. So what might the legacy be such, right, of such a history-making president? There's a lot to consider, so we asked the experts to break it down for us. Responses have been edited for length and clarity. So this is the first part. His relationship with alt-right. Matthew Con if this is a last name, okay? Matthew Contenti is a fellow of the American Enterprise Institute, focusing on the development of the Republican Party and the American conservative movement. And this is the question. What's Trump's key legacy? And this is the answer. Donald Trump will be remembered as the first president to be impeached twice. He fed the myth that the election was stolen, summoned the supporters to Washington to protest the certification of the Electoral College vote, told them that only through strength could they take back their country, and stood by as they stormed the U.S. Capitol and interfered in the operation of constitutional government. Until that part, I know that there's a lot of information, but mainly the first part was only like context. The answer to this question and everything that you were able to understand, Annalise. What is this article about in general, and what were you able to understand about the answer of the first verse?
Um, Teacher, sorry, the title. What is the first verb that you mentioned?
In this title, actually, there's only one verb at the end, but they say many other words. It's like U.S. historians on what
Yes,
Donald
this is
Trump.
the word that I can't understand.
Okay, all right. So it's like people, right, who explain, who write history, right? Those are the historians.
Okay, okay,
All right.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Anili. So, what can you tell me in general? A summary of everything that I mentioned, or perhaps the parts that you were able to understand, or how can you explain this in your own words?
Mm, it, maybe I don't know if I understand too much the this part, but I think that are talking about what he is doing in this part since will that was the election, and this time he is doing things that are causing bad actions in the people of the United States, and this is why the people that manage social medias
Okay.
are mm, looked him
Okay.
his medial social because he is doing things and writing things that has that the people do bad things. For example, what occurs in the capital.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Right? You have all this information about Donald Trump, the things he does, the things he say, right? Or well, all the things he just tries to convey when he is giving speeches, right, in public. And yeah, of course, through these messages, he could be speaking or writing those messages on Twitter because he loves to use right social media, Twitter. He gives messages to the followers, to the supporters that he has. And of course, those things have caused many negative things, let's say, right? And perhaps those are, and it says, right? For example, they are talking about history, right? History, US history. In US history, you always have very interesting presidents. And I think many of those presidents are remembered for very good things, right? Many of those presidents are and were remembered because of very good things that they did. But they are talking about now, even of course, before Trump, we got Obama, right? Obama that broke many things in terms of he was the very first black, right, or Afro American president. He did many things. For some people, of course, he made mistakes as all the presidents, but he did some things, and people are going to remember Obama for those things. And in this part, they are going to try to like they use this word and this phrasal verb. Okay, they are going to try to break down the idea of how Donald Trump is going to be remembered, right? This is a question for you, Annalise. How do you think that Donald Trump is going to be remembered as president? Because they are trying to understand what history is going to say about Donald Trump. You know that every time they have a new president, you have to learn about that president. It's part of history, and you know you need to know about history, right? So, what do you think, Annalise? What do you think Donald Trump is going to be remembered like?
That he's leaving a bad impression because he is mm, mm, he is impulsing bad actions, and I think that in his uh, how can I say uh, in his match or in his politic.
Party. You
Um,
can say that that's party, a political party, if you want to say that.
okay,
Uh-huh.
yes, in his political party, I think that are um, giving a really bad impression for the people.
Okay, all right, I agree with you. What are the things that the you're talking about, right? This negative image that they are giving about the U.S. or about their party, right? In this case, Republicans. Of course, Republicans have not always been, and let's say they are not the bad guys, right? Because even perhaps many very good presidents that the U.S. had were Republicans, right? But nowadays, the people have like related Republicans to guys who are very radical, like Donald Trump, for example. And yeah, this last time is related to that. And we're going to finish with this analysis. So, what do you think are the those negative things that are causing that negative image on their party and on him, Annalise? But besides, for example, besides the fact of what happened on the Capitol, what other things are negative, Annalise, to finish? What do you think?
That he is calling for the violence,
Mm-hmm.
and he are not accepting um, he's not accepting his how can I say, his defeat.
Yes, that's perfect. Exactly. He's not accepting his defeat, right? His loss, you can say, in terms of, well, that Biden won the election. That is correct, Annalise. So we're going to be finishing here. Tomorrow, please, I hope that everybody can attend classes because, as I told you, perhaps Friday we're not going to have classes. So tomorrow is going to be to learn this strategy about how to structure the presentation, and with that, we are going to prepare it for next Monday. All right?
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Okay. Have a good night, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
You too. Bye, teacher.
Hello, Maria Elena. Are you there?
Hello, teacher. Yes, I'm here.
That's great. How's everything going, Maria Elena? Are you okay?
Yes, teacher. I'm okay.
That's
Thank you. Everything is okay.
That's perfect. The first thing I'm going to do, Maria Elena, I'm going to be showing the specific scores that you got for yesterday's presentation. All right, and you're going to see the details that that I'm going to give you now while you're seeing at your scores for the three strategies and the extra points that you could have earned. All right, that's
Okay.
the first thing you're
Okay.
going to see. Let me share my screen with you so that you can watch it. And then we're going to start with today's conversation. And there you go. I think that you're able to see now, Maria Elena. So this is your score and your general score. As you can see, you have a really good score, 96. You have really high scores even just with the strategies. All right, you have 30, 31, 30. And in terms of these extra points that you could have earned, you have 3 over here and 2 over here, which is very positive because it's helping you get into 96. The only things that, again, your presentations are always very fluid, all right? The ways you explain, of course, in certain parts, you forget about certain words and those things. Perhaps we're going to keep improving and increasing, right? The number of words that we have as vocabulary. But those are minor things because some people have less score, okay, here
Mm-hmm.
even they can use some words, they are not using them properly. But in your case, all the words that you're using, you are doing them in the right way. So that's why this is positive. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It just perhaps work in those little words that you sometimes forget. And in this
Mm-hmm.
part, it will be something related to some stress in some words that is not in the right position. But most of it, again, is really positive. As you can see, this is over 33, so it's very, very minor what is there. So I don't know if you have any
Okay.
questions or comments about this, Maria.
No, teacher. No, no, no.
Okay, that is perfect. So that's your second score. You have two already for the two presentations, and I'm going to remind you again that Monday is going to be the third one, right? On Monday, we have the third
Okay.
presentation. This time, you're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
use a specific structure that I'm going to tell you tomorrow. If I
Okay.
see that because of Friday, okay, of Friday's holiday, perhaps we're going to move everything to Wednesday. If that's the case, I'm going to let you know. If not, tomorrow everything is going to be conveyed and Monday is going to be the presentation. Again, 10 minutes, any topic you want, and keep improving all those things. All right?
Okay. Okay,
Perfect.
teacher.
That's great. So let me close this and we're going to be reading something different now. I'm going to choose a different, let's say, article for you. I'm going to read it and you're going to tell me what this is about. So let me go there. And this is the one. The let's say a headline of this article is the following: coal mine go ahead undermines climate summit. Okay, one more time. Coal mine go ahead undermines, all right, undermines climate summit. It's something related to environment, right? Something related to environment. This is the introduction that is down below the picture. Britain's climate change leadership is being undercut by a government decision to allow a new coal mine in Cumbria. That's a place in the UK. MPs have warned. Now, these are the very first three paragraphs that are 3 lines. The UK is hosting a UN climate summit in November, where it will urge other nations to phase out fossil fuels. The MPs say the government's decision to allow a new colliery at home will make it harder to secure a deal. And this is the last paragraph I'm going to read now. The Woodhouse mine was approached by Cumbria County Council because it will create jobs in an area of high unemployment. Now, all that information, Maria Elena, I don't know what were you able to understand and what can you tell me about the article that I'm reading?
Teacher, can you repeat the title of the article, please?
Yes, of course. The title is Coal Mine Go Ahead Undermines Climate Summit. All
Okay.
right. What can you tell me about that? What can you tell me about everything that I read, Maria?
Um, well, there is a lot of new vocabulary for me.
Yeah.
Um, well, they are talking about the weather of some place.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if I'm right.
Okay.
This article is kind of difficult because a lot of new vocabulary.
All right. So try to do it right with the things you can remember, Maria Elena. What words do you remember? Let's try to guess a little bit with some words that you can remember.
Um, Coal mine. I don't know what is coal mine.
All right. Coal is like a black material. For example, you use coal if you have a fire. All right. That is coal. Many decades ago, trains were powered by using coal. Okay, coal. So it's a
Coal. It's
black
coal,
material.
right? It's CO.
Al, Coal. So what do you think is a coal mine? And I'm going to tell you that in my words. It's like you know what's the, and I'm going to read this again. You know what's the summit that they had to have in UK? What's that climate summit? What do you think is that? We can start by that, Maria Elena. What is a climate summit? What do you know about the climate summit?
About the climate.
Huh?
Um,
Right? It says climate summit. What's that? Climate summit.
Climate summit. It's like mm, climate summit. Maybe it's like the weather from where? What city? Maybe Sucre. I don't know.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
like kind of cold, but little foggy too.
Okay. Let's analyze. For example, no, in that word, right? Perhaps you are listening a little bit like, for example, we have the word like summer, right?
Uh,
Summer, right? But we have this other word that is summit with it at the end. Okay, summit. A summit in this case is going to be like a reunion, all right, like a gathering. Okay.
mhm.
Then what do you think is the climate summit? And remember this, the UK this time is going to be the host of this climate summit. And also one other clue that I can give you, perhaps to understand this a little bit, Donald Trump, right, was the president that decided that the UK, sorry, the US was not going to be part of the decisions of the climate summit. All right. So what do you think the climate summit does? And why do you think that when Donald Trump was president, he decided to not follow those things? And he was criticized a lot. What do you think that could be about?
Mm, oh my God. Uh,
Because it's okay. You're talking about climate, right? You can
uh-huh.
have you have and climate is something like bigger than weather, right? You have good weather, you have bad weather, but the climate is a bigger thing, right? The climate is, for example, all these
Yeah,
changes.
maybe it is like the climate ever something like this.
One more time, please, Maria Elena. The climate what?
Everest,
Okay, okay.
I don't
Well,
know,
try to
like a
explain
big
further.
mountain. I don't know.
All right.
I'm getting stressed. I don't know what
Don't
that is
worry,
making
we're going to understand at least that part. You know, what do you understand about climate change? What is the climate change?
the climate change. It's like when the weather change. For example, if it's now raining and 10 minutes before the sun it's like shining,
Uh-huh.
maybe that is
Okay,
climate
okay.
change.
And what do you think that that's normal? Do you think that that kind of climate change that everybody's talking about is normal, or that's
No.
negative? What is happening?
Well, I think, for example, in Riberalta, it's like just when we have these times, for example, these months, it's like you don't know when it's going to rain. And for example, you have one day that is rainy and the other day it's like so sunny.
All right, all right.
Like how can I say this? How can I explain? Wait. Um, like season, like the seasons.
Okay, all right, the seasons. All right, yes, you can have many different changes. Sometimes it can be something like unpredictable, as you're saying. But in this
Uh-huh.
case, the climate change that we're talking about is the things that all the environmentalists, okay,
Uh-huh.
all the environmentalists are worried about. So they worry
Okay.
about that because they relate this with the climate warmth, all right, or
Mm.
with the big change that the world, the entire
Uh-huh.
world is having, right? Because the temperature, I don't know if you've heard about that, the temperature of the planet, right, of the earth is rising, is going up. And they say if the temperature of the planet gets to a certain point, it's going to be irreversible, right? It's going to be irreversible. So we have to stop that temperature going up. The temperature has to be lower because if not, what happens? The glaciers, right, are going to melt, right? And there are going to be
Mhm.
big consequences around the world, all
Yeah.
right? So they have, and don't worry, we're going to finish with this to understand that part, right? Climate change is related to that thing. And the
Mhm.
climate summit is related to reunions that presidents around the world, okay, have to look for measures, all right, to look for measures to avoid the temperature getting higher. And how you do that? For example, some presidents in some countries are using different kind of energy, right? They are not using gasoline, diesel anymore. They are using
Mhm.
alternative, right? And renewable energy. They are using wind energy. They are using water energy, right? So they are doing things to prevent that the world
Mhm.
has like a higher temperature, and we get to that very negative, right? Let's say situation in which we cannot, or from which we cannot go back. I don't know if you've heard a little bit about that, Maria Elena.
Yes. Well, I heard about that. Mm, for example, to do another thing, to not pollute. Is it okay to say that like that? Pollush?
To
I don't know.
pollute something, pollute?
Yeah, exactly. To pollute, to not pollute the environment, because all we know that everything that happened now, it's like it's before that. It's before humanity. It's like I don't care about the the world. And I think now, when the time is passing, you see how it's hurt the world. It's
Yes.
like a reflection. I don't know.
Yeah, that is correct. All the things that we've been doing and all the things that we do right are reflected in what we see around the
Uh-huh.
world, what's happening, and these really sudden changes that we have, right? That we go from one specific weather to a different one in places that it wasn't like that before,
Hmm.
right? For example, in Cochabamba, let's say it wasn't like that before. It was well known for
Yeah.
the warm water, let's say like that, but it changed. They say the same about La Paz, Oruro, and some other places, and not just in Bolivia, of course, but around the world, right? So they
Hmm.
have
Yeah.
these meetings, all right? They have these meetings, and they want to prevent that. And Donald Trump decided to leave that summit, all right? He was criticized a lot. But now
Oh.
Biden, that is a new president, he is going to go back. And this summit, this reunion with all presidents, prime
Hmm.
ministers,
Hmm.
and many important people, is going to be held in the UK. All right. And the thing
Hmm.
here is the following to finish this very
Okay.
fast because I know that we're more time now. But this is the headline. Let me copy it and paste it over here
Okay.
and the chat.
Okay, now I understand. So that summit, it's like a group of people who decide to put some measure to prevent
Exactly.
the pollution, or
Exactly.
the direction that the world is having now.
Exactly. All of them
Okay.
are going to try, and they are trying to find solutions and
Mm-hmm.
to make decisions, right? And of course,
Mm-hmm.
most of the countries around the world, I would say that 80 or 90% of the countries follow these decisions. All
Okay.
right, they follow these decisions. And we have to stop using certain types of material or fuels, and we have to start using things that don't pollute, right, the environment. So what's happening in this article, Maria Elena, and again to finish this up, coal mine,
Mm-hmm.
coal, okay, is a material that pollutes a lot. It creates a lot of
Yeah.
pollution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coal is very, very dangerous for our health, for the environment. The thing is
Yeah.
that UK is going to be the center of this climate summit. They are going to be hosting the reunion. But the UK at the same time are opening a new coal mine, and it's more important for them that this reunion, it seems. And that's negative because the UK is supposed to help the climate change, right, to prevent that. But at the same time, they are opening coal mines that are damaging the environment. So that's the thing they are analyzing here in this article, Maria Elena. The contradiction, because the UK is supposed to help, right, preventing the climate change, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's still creating these mines, right, these coal mines and these things that are harming or damaging the environment. And that's contradictory. All right, so if you want, I'm going to send this so that you can take that look if you want. That's the headline or the link, the headline and the link. So you can take a look at that if you want. If you have some questions, we can perhaps discuss it next conversation. But right now we're going to finish here. All right, Maria Elena?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. No, you're welcome. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.
Okay, teacher, you too.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hi, teacher.
Hello, good evening, Valentina. How are you?
Sorry, teacher, for being late. I started working in Amazonas yesterday in the middle of La Paz, in the center
Okay.
of La Paz. So
Uh-huh.
it's far away from my house. And I
All right.
recently came to my house because right now I don't have a schedule to work and I'm working without a schedule.
All right.
Because I'm doing sales.
Sales. Good.
So, yes, that's my first job.
Okay, that's great. Well, congratulations for that, Valentina. And again, thanks for letting me know. I imagine that it was something related to that because yesterday you told me, right? Also, it
Yes,
happened.
and yesterday I was with the computer of my work, so I didn't know how to use it very well. But yesterday I have to work in the morning. I don't know if in the afternoon, but I have my presentation and I'm going to do. If I am with my cell phone, I don't know if I can send you my presentation to your WhatsApp and then I can expose.
Of course, yes. Tomorrow, of course, at the time that you are able to do it, you send me before if you want the presentation so that I have it there ready. And when you want to start, just share my screen and you can start talking. All right?
Okay, thank you, teacher.
That's perfect. No, you're very welcome, Valentina. So the very first thing that I was doing with your partners is that I was showing them the scores that they have. But you know that you're going to have the presentation tomorrow, so we don't have that part. We only have 5 minutes, but we're going to take advantage of that time to read at least a little bit and understand the headline of this article that has very well different words for some people. Let's try to understand this headline, okay? So let me start, Valentina.
Okay, teacher.
This is the headline of the article I was telling you about. It says, and again, we have to understand this headline in these minutes. Coal mine, go ahead, undermines climate summit. All right. Coal mine, go ahead, undermines climate summit. So, what do you think this is about? What are the words that you can understand, Valentina?
Head, teacher,
All right, all
or no?
right. Do you have any other words? Yeah, it's related to something. It's like ahead, right? Ahead. For example, what
Ahead.
means go ahead? What is go ahead?
Mm, go to do it. when you, I don't know, it's an expression. You said
Exactly.
go ahead when you want to motivate. I don't know.
Exactly. No, and it's okay. Go ahead is mainly when a person, all right, gives not permission, but gives the idea to the other person that that person can continue talking or can continue doing what he or she was doing. All right. For example, you were doing something and you stopped because I interrupted you. Okay, but I didn't want. So I can tell you, sorry, Valentina. No, go ahead. Right? Go ahead. It's like continue. Keep going. All right. So go ahead can be a verb. I can say only go ahead, and that's like an instruction, a polite instruction, right? Continue, please. Go ahead, please. But go
Okay.
ahead can also be a noun and it can be like continuation, that something is going to continue. So here it says call mine. What is a mine, Valentina? What is a mine?
Mind what you have in your head when you think about something with your mind. I don't know it plain.
Okay, exactly. That's going to be mind with D, right? Like mind, but only mine until
Mm.
N. Mine. What would be mine? And it's spelled like this, Valentina. It's Mine. Mine.
When it's something, it's mine, it's
Ex-
yours.
Exactly. And we use that word, but mine has a different meaning also, Valentina. And I can tell you this. What do you believe is called to understand what's a mine? What is call? Call is spelled Coal. Coal. What do you think
Only
is
one
call?
L.
Only one L. One C, one O, one A, and one L. Call.
I don't know, teacher.
All right. I'm going to explain this a little bit. Coal is a very, very black material, okay, dark material that you sometimes or we sometimes use when we have a fire, all right, or when you have a barbecue, all right. When you have a
Mm,
barbecue, you use
yes.
coal to, right, to turn on the fire.
Okay. Now, yeah,
Okay,
I
that's
understand like carbon.
exactly. And what do you think now? It's coal mine. It's very similar to Spanish, that mine. What would be a coal mine?
Mm.
Mine, right, is like a
Mhm.
cave that you can find in the mountains.
Ah,
All right,
yeah.
that's also the meaning of mine. All right, mine can mean that that's mine, right? That's mine. But mine also means that. All right, that those caves, those holes that you find in mountains. All right.
Okay.
So it says coal mine, go ahead, continues, undermines climate summit. What is to undermine, Valentina? What's undermine? What do you think it sounds like?
Undermine.
Uh-huh. Undermine.
Um, and with the mind like MIND.
And in this case, it's conjugated, and I'm going to read the headline. And actually, I'm going to copy and paste this because this is our last minute, perhaps. In the chat, you can find the headline. You have that. It says, look, coal mine,
Undermines.
go ahead, undermines climate summit. All right. Undermines is when something is more important than the other thing. All right. So this coal
Okay.
mine is undermining. It means it's being more important than what? A climate summit. So Valentina, with you, we're going to recover this same article on Thursday, and we're going to
Okay.
continue the conversation on Thursday with you to understand everything and read the article. All right?
Okay. Thank you, teacher. Thank you for understanding my
You're very
situation.
welcome,
Understood.
Valentina.
Thank you,
See you
teacher.
tomorrow
See you
then.
tomorrow. Bye.
Bye bye. Hello, Jaime. How are you?
Hello, Jose. How are you? I'm good. What about you?
That's great. I'm fine, thanks. Are you ready to have today's conversation?
I am ready.
Great. So,
I
look,
was born ready.
that's great. That's the best thing you can say, right? We have to be born ready for everything that comes. That's great. So, Jaime, I'm going to read this for you, as always,
Is it
and we're
correct
going to be
say I was
analyzing
born
all
ready?
the words and phrases that I'm going to be reading for you. All right? We're going to
Sorry,
start
go
with,
ahead. Can you hear me?
uh, yes, yes, I can hear you now. Okay. Can you hear me well, Jaime?
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, that's perfect then. So let me begin. I'm going to read an article as we were doing it before. Before that, I'm going to share this with you again. The score. Again, you got the highest score, Jaime, because you did again an excellent job. I'm showing you because I'm showing this to all of you. I'm sharing my
Thank you.
screen. There you go.
Hey, one question, one quick question.
Tell me, Jaime.
Uh, s- do we have classes on Friday?
Actually, I think we are not going to have, at least in my calendar, and the way I prepared all the courses that I have with you on the other course, Friday is
Mhm.
holiday, and I am not taking Friday into account. I'm verifying that with management, but I think that they did it the same because they told me that next course is going to start on February 3rd, which is Wednesday. So, according to what I did, everything has to finish on Monday if we take into account this holiday. So, I don't think we're going to have classes on Friday. I'm going to verify that with you tomorrow in class, but it's
Mhm.
like 90% that for sure that we're not going to have classes on Friday. Okay?
Okay, excellent.
All right, perfect timing. So again, this is what I wanted to show you. Now I'm going to be sharing, and reading the information that I got for you. This is about the climate summit, okay, that has to be held in the UK. We're going to read something that is causing a little bit of controversy, all right, related and regarding this matter. So let's begin. It says, this is the headline, and it says like this. Coal mine go-ahead undermines climate summit. All right, coal mine go-ahead undermines climate summit. What do we understand by this headline, Jaime?
Could you repeat it one more time, please? Sorry.
Yes, of course. The first part, we're talking about a material, right? It says coal, all right? Coal mine
Hmm. Hmm.
go-ahead undermines climate summit. What is this
Climate what? Summit?
summit? Summit.
Okay, okay. I don't know the meaning of summit, but what I understood what of the headline is that coal mine. Actually, I live in West Virginia, and
Okay,
coal mining is the main job and the main thing of West Virginia.
all right.
Um, so what I say, go ahead. It's like if you do this, you can go further under mine. I don't know what is submit, so I didn't understand that point. Sorry.
Don't worry. Yes, no, actually, this is not easy to understand because it has at least two, three words that are kind of tricky, but we're going to understand now. We're going to read the very first paragraphs and we're going to try to decipher what this is about. All right. And again, climate summit, for example, Jaime, to give you a clue on that, the last, I think, well known climate summit that there was, it was in Paris. All right. In France, Paris.
Okay.
And in that summit, all right, it's a situation, an event, let's call it an event, in which many presidents, many prime ministers, and many important people, let's say politicians, right, get together to make decisions over what? Over the climate change and how to prevent, right, the higher temperatures. Because in this summit, they have defined that if the planet, right, the Earth, gets to a certain temperature, right, in degrees Celsius could be or Fahrenheit, if it gets to a certain temperature that is high, we cannot go back. All right, and that's going to be unstoppable. And it means that the change is going to go and go and go until little by little, right? Some decades or centuries are going to pass, but the climate is going to change radically and it's going to have a huge impact, right? On, of course, humanity and the planet itself. So
Okay.
through this climate summit, they want to prevent this. And also, it's very well known because Donald Trump decided to leave this climate summit. And many people were criticizing him because of that decision. All right. And it's related to what you were saying. And I think perhaps he is right with that. I don't know, perhaps only Americans can have a decision on that. But as you very well mentioned, the coal, right, and these fossil fuels sometimes are a very important means of work, right, in the United States. And this is one of the reasons why Donald Trump decided to leave this climate summit, because he said that in the US, coal mines and this way, right, of producing fuel and other kinds of energy are important in the US. Now,
Oh,
but first, before going to that, we can talk about that also, Jaime. Do you understand more or less now what's this climate summit? And what could this be? It says coal mine, go ahead, undermines climate summit. What could be this? Could this be about, Jaime?
maybe talking about how the people like they just care about just digging and digging and digging inside of the mines, and they don't realize how much what is the impact of a project. You know, me as a civil engineer, I know that every time that you do something, you need a, how can I say, environmental inform to
Mhm.
know like what is the impact of your project. You know.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Yes, so you write these kind of reports to show what changes, where things are going to be having an impact, right, or affecting the environment in a certain way. That's interesting. Perhaps, do you know if this is applied to all the things that they need to build or do? Is this new, or this was something that you did many years ago, Jaime? Do you know that?
No, this is something that is applied on the last time. Like they teach us, they taught us at the university. There's an, how can I say, I forgot the name. There's a subject on the school, like at the
Okay,
university. The name is environmental engineering, and they teach you that you must present how can I say, an inform to tell
okay,
people like what is the impact, and it's part of your project. If you don't present it, you cannot get a like license. You have to have an environmental license. Have you seen the problem of the bridge, like Recoleta?
Mm, in Recoleta. No, no, no. I haven't seen it actually. Well, what's wrong
There
there?
is a problem. Well, look, they were building a distributor. I don't know how to say that in English.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. What happened there?
so they were building a bridge. It is parallel to the La Recoleta bridge. It's right
Okay,
next to. I don't know if you remember that part, like close to the Cine Center.
okay, okay. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. There's like. Oh, all right. I know what you're talking about. There are many trees over there, right? Near
And
La Recoleta.
there is a protest with the
Okay,
people. Like they say that they have to you have to you have to you have to present your environmental license, but the government, like, because it's a project from the Cochabamba government, you know.
okay.
And at the beginning they didn't say that they were gonna cut the trees, but now they want to cut the trees, but they cannot because it's forbidden. You have to present your license, like I told you.
All right, all right. But do you think that this is going to be stopped? Because yes, actually, you told me the exact location. I know what you're talking about because I've seen some signs over there, right, that they should not
Yeah, a
cut
lot of
those trees.
they're protesting a lot, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think about that? For example, sometimes there are many, well, sides on that, right? Many people say that for the sake, right, or for the progress sake, we should sometimes cut some trees and of course make some decisions. Could be, and sometimes I can agree with this. And some others say that first and the very first thing we have to take care of is the environment. So we have a place that is protected, let's say like that, with many trees that are giving this healthy environment to that area of the city, right? Perhaps that's priority. But I don't know. What's your position or your side on that, Jaime? What do you think about that conflict?
What I think is like I understand the worry like that the people has for because of first place they're not gonna cut the trees. There are 40 trees there, and they're gonna cut just 20. I think the half of them are gonna be transplanted. I don't know if that's the word.
Okay, yes, yes, you can use that word.
Uh, so they're not gonna die actually,
Okay,
um, and some of them they're gonna die. There's no way to change that, But the thing is that they're like I see a lot of people like very worried and say making protests and saying we have to save the trees and everything, but they don't care what is going on the on Tunaris Park, National
yes,
Park. They're cutting a lot of trees. They're putting the houses, setting up there, and it's forbidden. Like Caracara,
yes.
you cannot live close to the. I don't know how to say botadero in English.
A dump or dumper, dump. You can say that a garbage dump.
Garbage dump. So
Uh-huh.
they couldn't live at they didn't care. And look the problems that we have Cochabamba today. We see the people that every time that they want, they just close the dumped garbage, and we're
Yeah,
with problems in Cochabamba. Same thing here. Instead of being I understand the fight and everything, but there is a license. They changed the project because there's no other way to make better the project, But instead of protesting there, they should be protesting up there and looking for the people that is around the park. And the result of living on the park or close to the trees and cutting the trees up in the mountain is what happened the other day. You see the rivers, the
yes,
channels.
yes, that's
I don't
right.
know how to say rebalsar.
Yes, no, you can say like flood. They flooded again, right? They
Yeah, they
flooded.
flooded again. And Tiquipaya is close to another disaster.
Yeah, yeah, it's happening the same. Yeah, and I agree with you. Perhaps, of course, it's not bad that many people can be worried about a tree because it has its benefits and so on. But of course, the bigger impact is going to be caused by the trees that we have in Tunaris Park, right? Because we have many
Exactly.
more trees over there, and they have a more important function. Besides giving this clean air to the city, they also protect and they can avoid these kind of disasters. So yes, I agree with you on that. Perhaps people should be protesting there and trying to make bigger changes on Tunaris Park or what's happening in Caracaras Dump, right? But they are focused on very little, yes, very few trees, and the consequences are not going to be as big as the ones that you're mentioning. But sometimes it's more like following a trend, right? And people say, okay, no, don't touch this, don't touch that. And they get like very stubborn and they don't want to change their mind. But I don't know. What do you think we can do about that? Many people talk about education or some other things. Do you think that this is something that has to be taught in school?
It
These
is.
environmental
I
things?
think I think we have to have a different subjects as with the humanity has been changing around the time. For example, I know philosophy is an important subject in the school, high school, but I think it's better to teach like people how to recycle, uh, like reuse everything that you have, they save the energy. All these things are the future because you have to teach the kids what is going on the future because that's his future, that's their future. So you cannot be living off the with things that they teach you like your grandpa had the same subjects than you. That's no.
Yes, yes, I agree with you because education has to evolve, right? The same way humanity is evolving and things are changing, because school is supposed to teach you things to live this life, right, in a better way. to help you live, not only to be a professional, of course, that's the main objective, right? To go to the university, but of course, also they want to teach you to live in a certain way, right? That's what they say. I'm very into education. I'm reading lots of books, and the main purpose of education is to help people live better. That's what they say. But if they want to do that, they should improve and update, right, the curricula. One of those things
Exactly.
could be changing the subjects to things that they can really apply in life, as you're saying. And I agree with you.
Exactly.
Could be that they can mix some subjects, I don't know, psychology, philosophy, as you were mentioning, but it's important that they have a very specific time during school in which they are aware of the consequences of throwing garbage right in the streets, on
Mhm.
recycling, on making decisions based on those kind of information. But I think we can start that way because when kids, right, when we are children and we get this information, we get, and sometimes we take that seriously, sometimes not, but it could be the school, then it can be family, and little by little we can make a change,
For
right?
example, you know that something that you learn that when you were a kid, you never forget. So if you
Yeah.
teach the kids to take care of the environment, they will do. Like I hate when I see kids throwing the garbage, not kids, like normal people like my age, throwing garbage through the window, to the streets. And the
Yeah.
consequence of this, when all the streets are flooding because all the alcantarillas, I don't remember. I knew it. The
All right. Let's
how
try to
how do you say
there
alcantarilla?
there is a word specific for that, but actually I forgot it as well, Jaime. There is a long time I've been not using that
Yeah, yeah,
word.
yeah. I
I'm
remember.
going to
There was
remember.
something. Don't worry.
So
But
yeah, the
yes,
garbage like covers, right? That, and it causes this kind of flooding. That's right.
exactly.
That's right.
So there is a lot of things that must change. As you see, for example, I don't know if you knew this, but in Japan, kids learn from the age of 5 to 10. Just they learn languages, the computer, and mathematics. That's it. Because that's the important thing, and those are the ages when you get more information, and it's easy to learn. Like a language, it's very easy to understand and learn when you're a kid. It's a little bit difficult as you get older. If you realize
Yeah.
that you're a
Yeah.
teacher English, so you realize
That's
that.
right. That's right. Exactly. It's better to create those kind of behaviors, those kind of, let's say, trends or ways, right, of acting because little by little you are used to some things and it's hard. Of course, people can change, but it's harder, right? When you have a set
Yes,
mind,
yes.
right, and a mindset, it's really hard that you can change the way you are, the way you behave, because for you, that's the way you live. And sometimes when something really hard happens to you, you realize that you have to change. But if you're living comfortable with those things that you always do, you always throw garbage right on the streets, and you always do certain things, and you don't see consequences because you live in a good place that is never flooded, you always see that only in the news, you're not affected by that. So sometimes people don't change and don't want to change because the consequences don't affect those people, right? By the way, the word is in the chat. It's the sewers, right? I was also forgetting that word. Exactly. So the sewers are like covered with the garbage that people throw in the street, and of course that causes that we have streets flooded. We have these places that are like well disastrous because some of the houses that are affected by this are still built with materials that are not good materials and they get destroyed. So there are many consequences to this kind of behavior. So I agree with you,
Exactly.
Han. We should start on that. School, family should be the very first places in which they teach us, right, about recycling, about garbage, about taking care of our environment. Great.
Exactly.
Let's continue with this conversation, which I think is really
Go ahead.
interesting,
Sorry,
Jaime.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and actually, this is the main purpose, right? This article, it's about coal mine and the climate summit. And actually, in that summit, they make decisions that at least 90% of the countries around the world, right, they have agreed on that and they said, okay, we're going to do that. Do you believe that some of those, without knowing those decisions, because I also don't know all of those decisions, without knowing the decisions of the climate summit, do you think that Bolivia has been following those decisions in terms of improving the way we deal with the environment and to create a better place in terms of, again, the climate change? Do you think that Bolivia has been following that, Jaime? If so, why? And if not, why also?
No, I don't believe that that we have been following the right steps
All right.
because we could do it better, but we didn't, and we're paying the consequences now, and we will pay it worse in the future. I think it will be worst.
Exactly. Exactly. There are going to be many more things that are going to be, let's say, well, more noticeable, right? Right now, perhaps we have changes in terms of the weather. We have this constant raining, and sometimes people see this as a change, but not a big change, perhaps. But
Mhm.
the more we get into this and the more mistakes we have, we're going to see worse consequences, and perhaps people are going to be worried by then. And let's try to understand now what's the mistake of the UK. And let's say perhaps that also the US is doing, and yes, is making this mistake. Do you think that the US, you said, for example, that you lived in a place in which coal, right? Well, the mining is a very important main for work in the US, and let's say mainly in Virginia or West Virginia. Do you think that
You know
that
what
can?
is fun about that? Right next to my dorms, like the door building,
Uh-huh.
there was how can I say, there was the railroad right next to it. So every morning at 5 a.m. I was my bed was shaking. I was
Oh,
look the train was horning, like, how can I say, play tocando bocina. I don't remember.
yes, yes. Uh-huh. To horn. Uh-huh. Horn.
Yes, yeah, yeah, that
Okay, so at what time was it?
5 a.m.
In the morning, 5 a.m. Okay, so
Yeah,
that
it
was
was my alarm. It was my alarm, so I was practicing. I was going to practice at 5:30, so five they wake me up every time, every day.
all right, all right. But what do you think about that? Do you think that that's something that can change? I think sometimes, as we were talking about, right, people change, but only if we see consequences. Do you think, for example, that people in Virginia or West Virginia are willing to change that way of living, stop working in coal mines and doing something else? Do you think that that's possible?
Maybe it's possible if you teach and give them the opportunities, not just telling you cannot work in this anymore, because it's a way of life. For example, the mascot of the West Virginia of my university is the mountaineer. That's a minero, a mining
Okay.
guy. So
Uh-huh.
so it's a state figure, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
So you cannot say just you cannot use it anymore. If you do like little by little and teach them, like tell them, yeah, you have to change your jobs because that will destroy the environment. Maybe they will understand and they will say, okay, maybe it's time to do another thing. Look for a new
Yeah.
roads on something better.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't have to be like a dictatorship, right? So you have to change your job. That's it. You have to find a way of surviving. That's the worst way you can do it. As you're saying, perhaps if the government, right, wants like a change, they should have like workspaces, right, and work positions ready for those who are going to be without work when they are going to leave, right, and stop working those mines. So that's a great thing to do and a great
And
idea.
that's
What
important. That's important for, how can I say, like, it's important for the governments to do them. This is part of their job.
exactly, exactly? Because if you suddenly say something like, okay, all coal mines are going to be closed, and you leave thousands and thousands of people, right, unemployed, that's going to cause chaos over there. And of course, it's going to be like lots of protests, and many people are not going to be happy. And of course, perhaps even there's going to be lots of riots, violence, and with right, because they are
Mhm.
claiming, right, and protesting about a right that they have, because a job, right, is a right that everybody has, and you cannot take that away without reasons. And of course, yeah, well, this is a question I want to make, Jaime. What is the thing that you believe that people there could do can you see that there is a different resource that can be treated in a different way in West Virginia? What kind of job do you think that these kind of people could have? Of course, if the government teach them and so on and so forth. What is the other thing that they could do?
You say in West Virginia?
Yes, exactly. Is there something that is very characteristic besides the call?
Probably they can do like the landscapes are like the beautiful,
Okay, all right.
and I think tourists will be a good thing. They have cliff jumping. They have
Uh-huh.
skydiving and everything that.
Okay, okay. So they can build these tourist places, perhaps, in which they can hire people, right, to work there. That could be one thing that can be exploded, let's say, instead of minings, right? And of course, there's always something to do, right? There is always something new that they can do, that they can learn if the government promotes that learning or training courses to learn about even very simple things, right? To work at stores, to work in car shops, to work in many other businesses that I'm sure that the city has, and that's going
Yeah,
to
we
help,
have
right?
to take care of our planet because we just have one.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. To finish this, Jaime, look, I copied and pasted the very first part of that article, and it says Britain's climate change, and this is related to what you said. That's why this is concerning because British, all right, are doing something. England is going to be like the host of this climate summit. So England are going to be, well, you know that the English are going to be the ones that are going to say, okay, we should do this and this to prevent, right, the climate change, to improve, right, the chances of not getting to that temperature and not coming back. But at the same time, all right, England is allowing a new coal mine in Cumbria, which is a place there. What do you think about
Um,
that?
it's a little bit hypocrite, because they're in that in one way they are like the leaders, and it's not about just put money. People and big countries think that it's just about like putting money to like how can I say solventar uh,
Mhm.
the change.
All
Be a
right. You can say
sponsor of
only
the
to
of these
support.
projects. Sponsor
Exactly.
the project or things like that. And it's
Ex-
just it's not just that. You have to be an example by doing it, by
Exactly.
changing, by teaching your people.
Yes, that is right. Exactly. Sometimes they think it's only supporting by giving money, as you were saying, right? And of course, they are wrong by doing that because people are going to notice that you're saying something, but you're doing the opposite, right? That's why this is kind of contradictory because they are doing something that they should be avoiding. And they are going to tell, perhaps, in that summit that people around the world, for example, the US, because in the last summit, they criticized a lot to the US because they were defending coal miners over there in the US, I think besides Virginia, right, there are many other places in which coal mining is a really big thing. Because of course we have the Industrial Revolution and we have many things that happen in the US that created employment around that specific area that is coal mining. So they were criticizing that, telling them to change that. But now the English are doing something very similar, right? So perhaps they should think that before doing and saying other things, right? They are criticizing other countries, but they are doing the same now. So let's hope that there's going to be a change in the way the England, right, the English people are acting now, and that's as you were saying, right, something that is not good if you want to give a great impression or yes, a great image of your country being the leader of climate change, right? You should give the example and not only sponsoring or supporting with money. So I don't know if you have any final questions, comments, or opinions on this, Jaime, before finishing.
No, it's okay. It was a really nice talk. I really appreciate it, dear Jose.
No, thank you, Jaime. Thank you again for the
And this is our
conversation.
last course, right? For us, like A14 will be the last course, right?
Yes, exactly. At least with me, this is going to be like the last right time you're going to could have conversations. But yes, after February the 1st, the course is officially done, right? Finished. After that, you have some optional courses, but this is going to be like the last course of executive English.
Okay, excellent. I hope that we
All
can
right.
have our diploma after this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have, and you are already part of a list. The management has access to this, so they should contact you to tell you what you need to send in terms of some photos, if I'm not wrong, also some photocopies of some documents. And with that, they are going to work on the certification as well, as long as I'm concerned. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Jose.
Perfect.
See you
You're
tomorrow.
very welcome. See you, Jaime. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hello, Andre. Are you there?
Hi, Jose Luis. Yes, I'm here.
That's great. Perfect. Let's begin the conversation then, Andrea. We're going to, again, this is something related to perhaps environment, but in related to politics, because you know that we have certain reunions, gatherings around the world, right, to prevent certain changes that are irreversible. What do you know about the climate summit, Andrea? And what do you know about the limit of the temperature, and if you remember the exact temperature that we need to get for not coming back? Do you know something about that, Andrea?
No, I don't know about the number, exactly number for the limit of the temperature.
All right. We're going to discuss about that. But look, this goes over that, Andrea. There
Okay.
is, again, we call this, I'm going to copy and paste the name of that, climate summits. The last very important one was in Paris, all right, the climate summit. The last important one that we had was in Paris, France. In that summit, they decided that if we as a planet, right, keep doing things in this way, we are going to get to a certain temperature that is going to be kind of high. And when we get to that specific temperature, there's no coming back. It means that the consequences are going to start happening, and there is no way to prevent that. Perhaps we can make that slower and live. Of course, this is going to take not only decades, it's going to take centuries, perhaps a millennium. We don't know. But it's going to take some years. But anyway, it's something irreversible. So they want to stop this. And of course, it can be an exaggeration so that we can change, but that's good. I agree with that. The thing is that they made some decisions that all people should follow in terms of environmental decisions, right? Stop using that much fossil fuels, stop using this kind of energy, that kind of energy, stop this kind of businesses. You have to promote these other kind of businesses that are more like environmental friendly, right? So all these positive things. One thing that Donald Trump was criticized about was because he decided to leave this group, right? Because he was saying
Mm,
that, for example, in the US, coal mines, I don't know if you know what's a coal mine, Andrea. I'm going to
mm,
copy and paste it in the
okay.
chat. Coal is a material, it's a very dark material that sometimes we use in barbecues, all
Okay.
right? And mine, besides mine, right? That's mine. Mine is also a hole, right? These caves that you have in mountains. Do you understand what's called mine?
Yes,
All
I
right.
think.
So these coal mines, because the United States, we have many trains in the United States, right? Trains. And sometimes, well, before trains were powered by using coal. The same way we use it in barbecues, right? In fires, we put coal there to create more fire, right? To keep the fire there. So it was the main of powering trains, of powering factories, right? That's coal. And they have coal mines because they get coal from there. And they said that
Okay.
the United States is the main producer of coal, and many people, thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, live because they are employed as miners, okay, in these coal mines. Perhaps that's important for the US. That's why Trump decided to leave this summit, okay, this group that is trying to prevent worse changes in the environment. With all this context, okay, Andrea, this is a context. I'm going to read this headline for you that has the same words. Try to tell me what this could be about. It says, coal mine, go ahead, undermines climate summit. What do you understand by this? One more time. Coal mine, go ahead, undermines climate summit. What?
That they still work in these coal mines, uh, eh, even that the climate summit is uh, advised not to.
It's not what? Sorry, Andrea, the last part I couldn't hear.
Advised not to have these coal mines.
Okay, advanced you. Okay, all right. Actually, that's a really great approach. Andrea, I copied and pasted the headline in the chat. That's very close, and I would say that's the best approach of the night. All right. Coal mine go ahead undermines climate summit. You're right. They are still doing this, and it's not that they are still doing this. It's that coal mine perhaps even is getting to be more important than this climate summit. And that's something worrying, right? That's something worrying because you can see that people are still worried about their things and they don't care about the decisions that are going to help the environment itself. Now, perhaps the next part is going to help you even understand this better because this is very specific thing that is happening not in the US, but in the UK. Let me read.
Okay.
It says, Britain's climate change leadership is being undercut by a government decision to allow a new coal mine in Cumbria. MPs have warned. What do you understand about that? I'm going to copy and paste again, but first, before copying and pasting it, what do you understand of that part, Andrea? I'm going to read it one more time. Britain's climate change leadership is being undercut by a government decision to allow a new coal mine in Cumbria. And Cumbria is a place, like a state, a city.
Mm-hmm.
What do you understand of all that, Andrea?
That they are in UK, they are not putting attention to climate leaders, and they allowed or make it legal to have a coal mine.
All right. Yes, we go that way. And it's actually even worse because it says Brighton's climate change leadership. It means that British people or England was considered to be one of those countries that was the leader on this climate change, in the sense
Oh,
that they were making good changes to help the environment. All right, so British, right? The British as a group, the British were considered people who were concerned and worried about the environment and were aware of that situation. But that is changing now that they took a decision, right? They made a decision that is allowing a new coal mine in one of their cities. And of course, that's something negative, right? Because you cannot be the leader of climate change in the positive way if you're still creating new coal mines, because that goes against the weather or against the environment, against the weather, against all those things, because it's damaging the environment. Now, I want to know what you think about that, Andrea. Do you think that coal mines or places like these are really dangerous and harming for the planet? Or do you think that they are not making a bad decision? What do you think about
I think that they have a big impact, but I don't know like the political situation. These kind of things happen a lot here. For example, with natural reserves
that? Mhm.
that they shouldn't be exploded, but because of political decisions, they change that. And so, I mean, how you said at the beginning is more a political decision, and they are not taking in consideration the environment.
Mhm. Exactly. That's right. There must be something behind, and as you very well mentioned, there's always something political right behind it. Something related to money, right? To some, let's say, income that can, of course, be a result of this new coal mine. And of course, this is going to generate money. This is going to generate, right? Some job positions, and that's going to be positive for unemployed people. But of course, the cost of that, right, is going to be higher, which is damaging and harming the environment. Now let's see again. This is the second part, and it says the UK is hosting a UN climate summit in November, where it will urge other nations to phase out fossil fuels. And again, here is the contradictory part. The UK this November, they are going to host this summit, and they are going to tell other countries to phase out. What do you think is to phase out, Andrea and Cora?
To um, to get out, like stop
Uh-huh.
doing or using them.
Perfect, exactly. First, I copied and pasted the first paragraph, Andrea. It says, right, British climate change leadership is being undercut. It's like they are doing something, but of course it's contradictory. And this part again, I just copied and pasted. Yes, to phase out is to stop doing something, to stop using something. So the UK is at the same time hosting this climate summit. The UK is going to tell other countries to stop using fossil fuels, but at the same time the UK is allowing new coal mines to be created. What impact do you think that this is going to have in the summit, Andrea?
Mm, it can generate like discussions or make other countries not participate in this summit.
All right, very well. I agree with you. They are going to say that perhaps they don't have the right, of telling you what to do, of making decisions over the climate change if you're doing something that is right opposite that you are telling. So of course that's going to generate some anger, or some countries that you mentioned, right, leaving the summit again. Now we have this last part to understand this, or to understand the main idea of this article, and to finish today's conversation. And I'm copying and pasting this. Please read the last paragraph in the chat, Andrea.
That verdict was derided
Mhm.
by environmentalists who pointed out that climate change from fossil fuel burning is a global problem.
Exactly. How can you explain this?
What does derided or derided means?
Is like in a certain way denied, or right, or reject.
Okay, and verdict.
The verdict is a decision that they made
Okay,
in the court, right? So a
okay,
decision
yes,
was
I
made,
see.
and they said, right, for example, coal mines are not going to harm or damage the planet. So that's why we are allowing this new coal mine to be created. But they are rejecting this verdict, right? So what do you understand of this?
Um, mm, I'm, I'm not sure. I mean, in the other part, it says that UK is gonna to host this climate summit. Then here mentioned that some people, the environmentalists, think that the change from fossil fuel have to be like it's global, it's a concern of all countries.
Yes, exactly. Here, mostly we're seeing contradiction, right? And it's mainly this. The environmentalists, right, are against the idea of allowing. And perhaps they are against this verdict, okay? Because there's something happened perhaps in court, and it allowed the government, right, to make the decision of allowing a new coal mine in country,
Okay.
right? So the environmentalists are against that decision because they believe that this fossil fuel burning related to coal mines is a global problem, right? And of course, there were
Mhm.
going to be some people against that. Do you agree with that, Andrea? Do you believe that there are other ways of doing this? For example, as I mentioned very well, again, to finish this very quickly, in the United States, coal mines are very important because there are hundreds of thousands of people that are living, right, and generating income thanks to these mines. Do you believe that there can be a big change and stop these world coal mines doing something different? How do you think this can be done, Andrea?
I'm not sure, but if you change the coal mines for like an electric system or something like that, it might help. Uh, I think that there are a lot of people who have ideas or innovation ideas that maybe don't always pay attention to them. So yes, there might be a way.
All right, perfect. Yes, there's always a way, right? As you were saying,
Mm.
the electrical factories or other things that generate power or energy in a different way. It only depends on the government, right? Perhaps some investment needs to be done, but of course the results of that investment are going to be really positive in terms of taking care of the environment, but also in the sense that you're going to be teaching and giving the example to the country and to other countries as well. So we're going to finish here, Andrea. I don't know if you have any final questions or comments before finishing today.
No, it's okay, Jose Luis.
Thank you, Andrea. So I'll see you tomorrow in class. Remember, it's very likely 90% that Friday there's not going to be classes. Tomorrow we have the presentation with you and with Valentina, right?
Okay.
Perfect. See you tomorrow
Mm.
then, Andrea. Have a good night.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye bye.